What is a lambda function? Lambda function is an anonymous function, that is, it does not have any name. It is written with the keyword lambda. It can accept any number of arguments. It uses single expression to return the value, and it is best for short or temporary function. Syntax. So lambda keyword is used, then space, after that arguments are written, then colon, and then expression is written. Examples. So first example, lambda x colon x to the power x multiplied 2. So basically this lambda function doubles the number. So if 5 is sent to this lambda function, then output will be 5 into 2, that is 10. So next lambda accepts two parameters x and y, and it returns the sum of these two numbers, that is x plus y. Third one is, so third lambda function accepts three parameters x, y and z, and it returns the sum of three numbers. So what if I want to uh, get the sum of n number of arguments? I mean any number of arguments, any number of, so we can write it as the last one, lambda star x. So star x means a list of numbers or a tuple of numbers. Basically it represents tuple, and then it returns sum of tuple of numbers, that is x. So sum is an inbuilt function, so it will return sum of all those numbers which is present in the x, which is a tuple of numbers. Now let's learn about some examples through coding. Now let's create a function that will double the value. So we'll write function double, which will take one parameter x. It will multiply it by 2 and return the value. So let's call this function result equals to double and pass the value 5. Let's print the result. Let's run this program. So here we can see the output is 10. Why? This function is called and 5 is passed. So x here is 5, and this function will return x multiply 2, which is 5 multiplied 2, that is 10. So this 10 is stored in the result variable, and we have printed the result. So 10 is printed. So this function can be replaced by lambda function. How? So first let's comment this function. We will write an equivalent lambda function. So we can have double equals to lambda x. So x is an argument, and it will return expression x multiply 2. So this is our lambda function. We have stored it in double variable, and whenever we call this double with any value, so this value will goes to x, and it will solve this expression and return the value. So 5 multiplied to 10. So 10 will be returned and result will be printed. So let's rerun this program. So here we can see 10 is printed. Now let's write a lambda function that can take two parameters. So let's say we will rename it to add, and we will add second parameter x comma y, and we will return x plus y. Now we will call add and provide two parameters, let's say 5 and 3, and let's check the result. So here we can see 8. Why? Because this add lambda function is called and 5 comma 3 is passed. So x is 5, y is 3, and the expression is x plus y. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So 8 will be returned and it will be saved in result variable. And when we print this result variable, 8 is printed. So this lambda function can be called multiple times with different set of values. So I will just copy paste it, and we can change the values like 6 and 2. Write one more, let's say 1 and 3. So here we get 8, 8 and 4. So 5 plus 3 is 8, 6 plus 2 is 8, and 1 plus 3 is 4. So this is how we write lambda function with two parameters. Let's say we want to write lambda function with 3 parameters. So we can add one more parameter, z. And let's say we want to add only, so plus z. So now we need to update this. So we can add one more parameter, let's say 2, here let's say 6 and 7. So the output will be 5 plus 3 plus 2, that is 10. So first output will be 10, second will be 12, and third will be 1 plus 3 plus 7, 11. So let's run this program. So here we can see 10, then 14, 6 plus 6 plus 2, and then we have 11. So what if I want to write a lambda function that can accept any number of arguments, and we want the sum of all the arguments? So to accept any number of arguments, as we have learned already, like we can use function parameter with asterisk. So we can write asterisk or star x, and we can call sum function. So sum is a inbuilt function. So we can write x directly here. So if we pass two value, let's say x comma y, it will provide the sum of x plus y, x and y. Basically it will return x plus y. But if we provide only x, so here x is a tuple of numbers. So if we provide a tuple variable, so it will iterate over all the elements and it will add and return the output. So we have used sum. Now here let it be, and here we can increase, let's say 4, and let's 2, 8. Now let's check the output. So here it accepts function with 3 parameters, 4 parameters, and 5 parameters. So we can provide any number of parameters and this lambda function will accept it. 5 plus 3 plus 2 is 10. So first output is 10. Second, 6 plus 2, 8 plus 6, 14 plus 4, 18. So 18 is printed. Here 1 plus 3, 4, 4 plus 7, 11 plus 2, 13 plus 8, 21. So 21 is printed. Now let's learn about lambda functions that can contain conditions in their expression. I will remove this. And we can have that's a new lambda num type. So we are writing a program that will, lambda function will check if a number, provided number is greater than 0, then it should return a string positive, and if the number is less than 0, it should return a string negative, otherwise it should return 0. So let's first write a method for it. Def num type. So this is the name of the function. It will accept one value. If x is greater than 0, return positive. And if x is less than 0, return negative, else return 0. So this is our function which will check if number is greater than 0, then return positive. Number is less than 0, return negative, else number is 0, so return 0. Now we will call this function num type. Let's say value with 2 and print the result. Then we will call with, let's say, any negative number minus 32, and then print the result, and then call with number 0. Let's run this program. So for 2 it prints positive, for minus 32 it prints negative, and for 0 it prints 0. Now this function can be reduced in a lambda function. So let's comment this and write a lambda function with the same name. Num type is a variable and it will contain a lambda function, lambda x. So x is a parameter. Now we will write the expression. We will write positive. Positive will be returned if x is greater than 0. Else return negative if x is less than 0. Else return 0. So this is the lambda function which is equivalent to this function that we have commented. So this is the input parameter or argument, and this is the expression or conditional expression. So let's run this program. So here we get the same output. So for 2 it is positive, for minus 32 it is negative, and for 0 it is 0. Now we will learn what if a function itself returns a lambda function. We can write a function, let's say any function, let's say demo, and it takes value n, and from this function we will return a lambda function. So lambda x, x to the power n. So now we can write lambda like square, and it will call demo. So when we write this statement, so this statement means we have called demo function and passed value 2. So n is 2. This function returned a lambda function which accepts x. So we have not provided x as of now, and the expression or the result will be x to the power n. So here n is 2. So lambda function, this lambda function which is returned from this function will be returning x to the power 2, that is square of the number. So this square variable contains a lambda function. Okay. So if we print the square, it will not print any result. It will be a lambda function. So let's check that. So here we can see function demo.local.lambda. Now, what if I pass any value to this square lambda function, that is x to the power 2. Let's say I have passed 3. So 3 to the power 2 means 3 into 3 or square of 3, which is 9. So it will print 9. Similarly, if I again call this square with value 4, let's run this program. So it prints 16. Why? 4 to the power 2 is 16. Why 2? Because we have sent 2 here and it returns the lambda function that we are using. Now what if I want to write cube? So we will use cube and call the demo function again with value of n as 3. So now this demo function will return a lambda where expression is x to the power 3. So if I write again these print statements, print cube 3 and cube 4. Let's run. So 9 and 16 are the squares and 27 is the cube of 3. 3 3 the 9 and 3 the 27. And then we have cube of 4. 4 4 the 16 into 4 64. So this is how, if a function returns a lambda, we can use that lambda as well. So this is all about lambda functions.